Welcome to the GreenBox Shift, where Matt and Kim Trent share career insights to help you turn potential into achievement. Join us weekly as we explore powerful concepts, offer actionable advice, and guide you from limitations to success.
In several of our previous podcasts, we've touched on professional networking and how critical professional networking is. So this podcast is all about professional networking and how you use people in your networks.
So the key word here in the title of this episode is amplify. The idea is that if you can build a good set of professional messaging, that you can then in turn look at if you understand how to do this, right? Part of what we're going to talk about today, if you can look at your network as an amplification component. So if you've got good, solid messaging built, that's based off your pick, and we'll talk about some of this today, but if you've got a good, solid message built, then your professional network can amplify that message. How does it do that? Well, if you provide your messaging to your network then acts almost like, think of them almost like salespeople, right? They're taking your message then and they're sharing it out with other people that you are not connected to. So we call this the force multiplier effect, that you're taking something, you start with it, you control the messaging, you share it with your network, and you allow your network then in turn, because if it's put together well and it sounds great and it's informative and it's of interest to people, they take that out and then they share it. That's the amplification. There's your force multiplier effect. You easily get beyond what you're capable of doing by yourself and utilize your network then to get a compounding effect and amplify it.
Right, and you have to be pretty careful about how you message yourself, say on a platform like LinkedIn. Be careful in what you say, because it has to be the right message, because it will be multiplied. You don't want that getting stated in a way you didn't intend.
And you see this and you understand why people are doing this, but we strongly urge people to not do this, which is make these blanket statements that are just open for interpretation around their employment status. So I'll give you an example. So one of the things that we caution people about is what they push out there in terms of this messaging. And if it's ambiguous or it doesn't really reflect what they have an interest in, they have to be really careful. So you see this a lot, especially when people experience unexpected job loss. They'll put the post out on LinkedIn that says, hey, unfortunately, I just got hit by a round of layoffs or just lost my job. If you know of anything, love to hear about it. Tell me what you're seeing. And I'm definitely, because I'm looking for something, anything, whatever.
There's no strategy.
There's no strategy behind that. And the problem with that is that you'll introduce confusion to your network. Your network will look at that and say, Matt needs a job. I see that he needs a job here. We're hiring for somebody in this particular role, and let me bring this to him. Well, you bring that to Matt. Matt looks at it and says, well, yeah, I know I posted that, but this has to do with sales, and I don't have any experience with sales. I don't want to do sales. The person that, brought that to Matt will then look at it and say, well, geez, I'm not bringing anything else to him. He didn't want help with that thing. It looked like he was desperate. I'm trying to help him, but he's not interested in that. All Matt needed to do in that situation is be a little bit clear with his messaging about what he's out doing. You do not want to advertise something about yourself that seems like there's an element of desperation around it.
Right.
Because in people's efforts to try to help you, they will bring you things that won't be of interest to you or won't fit. Right.
Well, right. And they think they're helping.
Yeah.
But when you don't take them up on it, there's a sense of rejection, and you may have lost that contact.
You may have lost it because it's your message was read with this element of desperation. This person tried to help you. They helped you, or they thought they were helping you. And you said, hey, I'm not really interested in that. And that's happened to me before when people have said, hey, I'm really looking for something. And I go, well, I don't know. You didn't tell me what you were looking for. Here's something that it might make sense for you. The idea here is that you can get around all of this if you build a good set of strategic messaging. and you take that really good set of strategic messaging and you systematically, in a very controlled way, share that with your network so your network can amplify the message. Get the force multiplier effect. You as one person can only take your message so far. But that one good message you build, if you share it with your network in the right way, all of a sudden it's amplified out past you, and you're going to get the economies of scale because you're going to get a lot more people out there able to share that core message and not have to invent it for you, assume they know what you want to do, whatever it might be, you're controlling it.
Well, right. Just because you put the blanket message out there, you're counting on the fact that somebody is going to dig deep enough to go into your profile to investigate. And a lot of times that's just not necessarily the case. So you want to be upfront with some things that you know and how you're positioning yourself.
Yeah, I mean, if it seems like you're drowning and you're screaming for help, right? You're crying out for help. People that care about you don't want to see you drown, right?
Right.
They're going to offer help and assistance. Well, what you don't want to meet them with is, hey, I don't like that color life preserver you just threw out to me. Throw me a different one.
Right.
Why didn't you tell me in the first place what you wanted, right?
Right.
So yeah, you control a lot of this stuff. And again, the core idea behind this is that you just build a good set of professional networking, the professional messaging that you can share with your network out of the gates.
So the strategic messaging that we're talking about, what should it be based off of?
Well, this strategic messaging, right, is based off of your personal intellectual capital, your existing skills, knowledge, and experiences, because those are the things that you want to share with other people. Those are the things that you're going to, employ in a conversation to find your next opportunity. Those are the things that are allowing you to understand what opportunity you pursue versus which ones that you don't pursue. Again, if rather than somebody just making a set of assumptions about you and your network, right? You just take the proactive step of sharing it with them. So you go, hey, my messaging is such that I start with my pick. I start with my skills, my knowledge, and experiences. Then I update things like my LinkedIn profile based off of what my pick is. I update my resume based off what that is. I start to create posts. I make comments, I make things, I make connections, all based off of this core pick I have. Every single thing is associated back with it. If my messaging is constructed in a way that it relies on this core set of pick I have,
right,
then it's much easier for me to build concise messaging then that's associated with opportunities that my network can share with me. So when I'm reaching out and doing professional networking, for example, and I talk to somebody that's in my network and I say, hey, I'm looking for my next opportunity, but rather than just stop there with the generic thing, I'm very specific. Here are some of the things that are part of this core set of intellectual capital I have. I've got these experiences, I have knowledge in these areas, I have these skills. This is what I'm interested in doing. If you frame up the conversation like that, this person that you're talking to in your network will say, oh my gosh, now I understand what you're looking to do, versus you're trying to boil the ocean. No, you've got a very specific set of things that you're interested in. Okay, so I'm not going to bring something back to you unless it fits in this. I'm not going to bring back the company janitorial job for you if you're not interested in being a janitor.
Right.
I'm going to only I'm not going to bring sales jobs back to you if you're not interested in sales. I'm going to bring back things and bring things to your attention. Or when I see things, you've given me a scope now. And that's what you can do with a good set of messaging that's based off of your pick. Because again, you're always going to come full circle back around to this again. Your core messaging is based off of your pick. You're sharing that core messaging, strategic messaging with your network so that they're uncovering opportunities or referring you into opportunities where you can have a conversation with somebody about what?
Your pick.
Your pick.
Yeah.
Full circle. So if you start with your pick and it's integrated in every aspect of what you're doing, you're going to end right back up with it again. Your pick is what's going to get you a job. Your pick is going to allow you, if you've watched our other episodes where we talk about red box to green box, the known aspects of an opportunity or something to the unexplored needs. Your pick is what's allowing you to move from what somebody expects from you into the unexplored needs area where people are going to go, oh my gosh, it's really what I need. I know what I want. I've told you what I want to hire in this person. But you've asked me a series of questions. Now I know what I absolutely need to have. And you're the guy asking, or you're the gal asking me the questions. I believe you're the person that can get me there.
Right.
So
right.
that's all based off a pick.
Because not only are you doing maybe what they initially wanted you to, but can take them and their organization into different areas and expand because you bring all these other skills as well.
Right. But see how different this is with your network? If your messaging is not based off of this, your messaging is based off loose statements, or, hey, I'm looking for a new job. This happened to me. I need to find something new, but I'm not specific and it's not based off of something. Then it's open for interpretation, and also assumptions come into play.
Right.
Right. So this network is super important to help, because look, we talk about this a lot, which is the power of the familiar. In referral systems inside of companies, that's a perfect example of the power of the familiar. Because when companies set up employee referral programs, why are they doing that? Well, they're doing it because they already trust their employee base. Their employees are employees there for a reason, and out of respect, and also, really out of respect for what they know and how they're doing their job, and as professionals and employees of the company, it only makes sense that you're going to ask those people, hey, if you know somebody,
right?
In other words, you're vouching for somebody that's interested in this job, we would love your referral because you know them, you have some connection with them. That's half the battle for us, is just trying to figure out who all these kind of anonymous candidates are that come flying in. We don't have any reference point with them, but you've got one and you're referring this person to us.
Right. It legitimizes the candidate, right?
Absolutely legitimizes the candidate.
Because the person making the referral isn't going to refer somebody that they know isn't good or wouldn't be good for the job.
Exactly.
Because their reputation's based on that too.
Their reputation's based on it. So go look at statistics. The statistics around this are interesting. The percentage of people who are referred into an open job by an existing employee, the rates of like how often they get interviewed in comparison with people that come through just a job board or through that kind of general, application process, the speed at which there's communication with those people versus people that are coming in through job boards. I mean, these are skewed heavily in favor of people that are referred. Well, that only makes sense then, again, if you take what we talked about with strategic messaging based off your pick in your professional network, that you want to tap your professional network for your next job. The biggest mistake that you can make if you're a job seeker is ignoring your professional network and going straight to the job boards and just hitting apply, apply, and apply. It's the worst thing that you can do, because it's so easy for the reject to come flying back from a system.
Right. And it becomes a vicious cycle.
Vicious cycle. What you want is people in your professional network that can vouch for you, that can lend credibility to you as a candidate. You can't get that if you're just applying on a job board and nobody understands who you are. They just see, the document that represents you come through, the application or the resume or whatever it is. Nothing beats having somebody in your network say, hey, I know this person and I'd like to refer this person for this job. Oh, we're interested in it. That's why these companies build employee referral programs, and they sometimes financially reward their own employees for referring people, right?
Right. And the success of those referral programs is just another reason why you understanding your pick and everything that you know and being able to communicate it with the people in your network who are potential referral people, that they understand what it is that you know and you're able to convey it to them.
Well, okay, this brings up a whole nother point about networks is if you're sitting out there and you've ever gotten a request from somebody where they say, hey, can you write me a recommendation, or can you be a referral for me? And they give you no context for this. And somebody reaches out to you and asks you a question about that person. Or they say, hey, I'm checking I'm doing a reference check on this person. They gave me your name. Well, if you've ever been in that situation where somebody's given you kind of this request and then all of a sudden you're contacted, but they've given you no other information, how awkward it is to try to help that person that's reached out to you.
With no context.
With no context.
Yeah.
What is the job? What is the situation? What are the circumstances? Because I know this person.
Right.
I want to help them. If I knew something about the role, I knew something about the situation, I could help proactively position them with my statements, right? Okay, well, the same thing happens, but take it upstream a little bit in this referral process. If your referrer, the person that's doing the referral, right, in your network is referring you, that person that's doing the referral, if they have talking points about you, they can set the stage for you to have a conversation that's more effective than if they know nothing about you as it relates to the role.
Right.
Because what are they left with? Oh, you should talk to Matt. Matt's a great guy.
Yeah.
I'd rather them say, hey, I've got this great person that I know, this great professional. His name's Matt. I worked with Matt in the past. Matt's great at X, Y, and Z. Matt's interested in ABC, all these things. Here you go. I want that person saying that versus saying, hey, he's a great guy. Well, I'm assuming that we're all assuming Matt's a great guy.
He's a great guy and a hard worker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but this is what people get reduced to when they don't have any messaging supplied to them.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to provide your network with your strategic messaging so that they understand what it is that you want. And then they can help you then. Right. So it's not just about referring you to the right opportunities. It's also about how do they do the right setup. Right? Don't lose the opportunity. If you've got an employee working at this company, don't lose the opportunity for that person to, set you up and set the stage for you to be able to have a conversation with somebody. This is almost like your advocate or your salesperson on the front end saying, hey, I know this person. I vouch for them. I'm referring them into this. And by the way, in addition to doing that, let me tell you some more about them so that I can help us table set for this person. That's what we're really trying to do. So it all gets back to strategic messaging based off of what? Based off of our pick. Exactly. One last point I would make about this is that, be very intentional with your messaging. So again, don't be ambiguous with what you're saying. Don't make a bunch of open-ended statements or posts on social media channels. Be very specific about what you're trying to do because that will just help people around you. If you put intent behind your messaging, it's much more effective than, just saying, well, I need to tell my network that I'm unemployed right now. Okay, well, there's a way that you can share your employment status with it where it doesn't come off as desperate and that you have intent behind it. Hey, I'm looking to do X, Y, and Z. These are my areas of interest. And you start building kind of a strategy with your messaging that doesn't make you look desperate and also understands, what you're interested in pursuing for people. So there's definitely the key word is intent behind that.
And portrays a level of confidence, not I'm desperate, right?
Absolutely. I mean, confidence versus a desperation. I mean,
right.
You want to set yourself up from a position of confidence, and you want people to know that about you and see that.
Because you want the referral, not pity, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many things we could talk about and probably spend the next 6 hours and 6 episodes talking about this. But, one of the things, I'm a believer in the order of operations. You know this, that I believe in, a big believer in sequencing of events, that there are steps to do things and you can follow all the right steps, but if you do them in the wrong order, you get different results. One of the things that I would tell you if you're a job seeker out there and you're looking at your professional network, do not make this mistake. Don't find an opportunity where you have a really strong professional contact at that company or that opportunity. Don't apply for that first and then engage your contact. Order of operations is important here. You want your contact at that company that's associated with the opportunity to refer you into the job. Don't preempt it by hitting the apply button, run the application in the process that way. Allow your contact to refer you in if there's a program. Now, of course, the person's not responding, they're not around, they're going to be on vacation, you have to get this in. Of course, you can go that way if you have to, but the preferred way of doing this is let them refer you, and then typically their company will tell them the best way for you to engage in the next step in the process.
Right. And it may be ultimately hitting the apply button,
Sure.
but at the very least, that person's aware that you're in the system and they can get out in front of it somehow.
How your application is coded, employee referral versus
Right.
job board submission, or
Right.
whatever the signifier is or designator is, can be hugely important. So do not make this mistake. That's why you should understand who's in your network. And when you're looking at opportunities, look to see if you know anybody at that company. I mean, people overlook this stuff all the time. It's a sequencing problem, and, just avoid that. It's just, in the long run, this is a much better way to do it.
Do you have recommendations about how you would create your professional messaging?
Yeah, I mean, I think simply I would start with just taking those key elements of pick that are seemingly most important to you, right? So again, skill, knowledge, experiences. Take the handful of them that are the most important, that seem to resonate the most, seem to be associated with the types of jobs or work that you've done and that you're interested in pursuing. Or if you're trying to make a shift here at this point, look at your pick and understand how your pick relates to, other types of opportunities, maybe in different industries or whatever it is. But, nevertheless, look at that pick and then start to build the messaging off of it. And it's as simple as this. Write down some key skills, experiences, and knowledge that you have. Write those things down and then just double check. Go to your LinkedIn profile going, okay, how do I integrate these things into here? Are they there? Are they clear? How about my resume? Are they there? Are they clear? Just start with that. If nothing else, just start with that. That just gets you a base presence in these documents that are inevitably going to have to be produced.
Right.
As far as what happens inside your network, we've got some very detailed methods that we teach people on how to reach out to people in their network for some very specific things that we found extremely effective, specifically around what your differentiators are and how somebody can help position you for something. But at a bare minimum here, what you need to do is you need to reach out to people in your network with this messaging and go, okay, it's very simple to understand. Here are these elements of pick. Here are my skills, knowledge, experiences that are core to me. I just want to share these with you so you understand that. Then build social media posts off of that. So even if you're not looking for a job, it's good for you to create content on your social media channels that refer back to these core things, because you can start to build and establish a reputation for yourself where people understand that you do have this pick and that you're able to share it effectively and articulate it to other people. So I would say that's a really basic way to start. Just look at some of your initial set of personal intellectual capital and just make sure it's integrated into these things and that you can talk about it with other people.
Well, I think at a minimum on LinkedIn, because I know for myself years ago, I was not super comfortable creating my own content. But at a minimum, you can find things that really resonate with you on LinkedIn and simply do a repost, a couple of simple sentences that talk about the topic or whatever the person's saying. And that, gets you some visibility in LinkedIn. And then as you do more of that, you'll be a lot more comfortable creating your own content.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. And I'll tell you, that is effective because I've learned things about people that I've been connected to for, 10, 15 years. And when I read them make a comment on a post, and not just a repost or some alike, but we're talking about an actual comment they make.
Right.
To your point, I've learned, I didn't realize this person, knew that.
Right.
And that plants a seed for me. So that I think, oh, okay. And now I keep seeing them reinforcing this pick they have.
Right.
And so now all of a sudden I start to look at them as an expert in these particular areas. And that's just with one or two sentences that they put on some kind of post. It's nothing elaborate. It's just reinforcing. They're using this strategic messaging. Those comments are part of their strategic messaging.
Right.
So just to kind of close here in summary, we talked about the importance of building good strategic messaging. that's based off of your pick, because again, it goes full circle. Ultimately, you're going to end up, having to talk to somebody about your pick. So why not build it into your core messaging? But the fact that your professional networks really work as a force multiplier, they really work as an amplification mechanism where it's not just you as a single person taking the strategic messaging and sharing it. If done correctly, you can employ or engage people in your network to really compound, right? You get more and more people voicing your messaging on your behalf. It's easier if you've got more than just your voice sharing your messaging, but you have to build good core messaging for other people to be able to share it effectively. Or we've talked about some of the downsides if your messaging's not, not well aligned or cohesive, or, something that other people can understand the value in. So you got to build good messaging to start out with, and then engage your network to take and amplify the message.
And don't get discouraged because it's a building process. You're playing for the long term here when you're building networks like this. This isn't like a short term need. This is going to be long term.
Well, yeah, and I think that's one of the things that you have to guard against, is that fight that urge, that the desire you to have to go tap into your network only when you need something.
Right.
You need to work with your network on a continual basis. It's like the care and feeding of your network always needs to be there. And think of it this way, we gave an example of, Kim brought up the point of when you see somebody post some content, even if you add 1 or 2 sentences and repost the content or share it again with your thoughts associated with somebody else's main piece of content, that can go a long way in establishing your credibility. And it's your pick that you're using, and you're sharing your pick with somebody. It just happens to be with a couple of sentences typically around somebody else's content. Again, it reinforces with your network that, hey, this person knows something about these topics, and you can build up a good reputation of that, going forward. So that's just another technique that you can use. But just don't forget about the power of the force multiplier here. And it's not just you out there. As long as you build good messaging and you've shown it to people and they understand it, they can show that on your behalf, and you can really get an army of advocates out there helping you out.
Okay, we had some questions come in since our last podcast. And the first question is, how can I make my LinkedIn profile stand out to potential employers?
Yeah, so there's lots of things that you can do, right? You need to make sure you've got a good headline. So when people are looking at LinkedIn profiles, and I think probably most of us are like this, we don't just start to read down through things. We kind of look at that top level of it.
Right.
So we need to make sure that headline accurately represents you and your pick.
Right.
Right, to use our language. Yeah, so again, that headline's important. It should just reflect your pick. If you got expertise in this particular area, and so you have skills, knowledge, experiences, think about what you want to be known to others for, right? And those are the types of things that should go in your headlines. You shouldn't build out super detailed headlines because you don't want to eliminate yourself from possible opportunities you might be a fit for, or at least at a minimum, somebody you want to encourage people to network with you. So you just spend some time thinking about what that headline is at a high level. And then as you go down and move yourself through the profile itself, this should not be a regurgitation of your resume.
Right.
You see that mistake a lot.
Right.
This is a different professional messaging vehicle. This is not your resume. So in the body of your messaging, right, one of the things that you want to do, again, don't do a copy and paste job from your resume. Really think out the fact that your LinkedIn profile should be a level higher. It should be a higher level document than your resume. So you should want people to see this, be interested in you, and then move down to more detail preferably through conversation with you, not through a resume. We want people talking to you, right? But that LinkedIn profile and the content, the body of the profile needs to be such that you're sharing things that you know with other people, and these are the things that they care the most about. And so if you're in a particular field or in a type of function or role or occupation, or whatever it might be, where there's some very specific things that just by and large, these are things that are universally applicable, appreciated, understood. Make sure you put those things in there so other people that are familiar with those roles can look at it and go, oh yeah, okay, Kim does these things. Okay, I see it right here. Right, she's touched on all the right types of things. So a really quick and easy way to do this is go find a job description that seems like it's perfect for you. Even if you're not interested in pursuing a job right now, but find a job description, use that kind of as a reference point to ensure that what you're putting in the body of your LinkedIn profile is A, based off of the pick that you have, but that B, you're taking the right elements of pick and incorporate it in the message. Like you're almost answering the questions of what's being positioned in the job description. It's like a referenceable job description to call it. So it's like a really good one that's sitting out there that you can reference going, oh yeah, because it'll help you, right? Figure out what you need to include. Oh, it's, I'm looking at this perfect job description. This would be my perfect job if I went after it. And it's asking for these types of things. Oh, let me make sure my LinkedIn profile it addresses those types of things in some way. Again, not to the level of detail that your resume does. This is more of a marketing thing. Your LinkedIn profile is a marketing kind of a document for you. So it's not the owner's manual. It's like it's a marketing brochure. So just treat it as such. You want to get people interested in talking to you, but you want them reaching out to you. You want to have a conversation with them. The end goal is not for somebody to look at your resume. The end goal is for somebody to talk to you. You talk to them about an opportunity.
Right.
So those are just some basic things. Again, in our courses and our services that we offer, we get much deeper into LinkedIn profiles and professional messaging, but just at a super high level, these are some things that maybe some best practices to take into account or food for thought here.
Okay, the next question is, what's the best way to maintain relationships with professional contacts over an extended period of time?
Yeah, the worst thing that you can do here is just only reach out to people when you need something from them. Right? So what you want to do is you want to make sure you have consistent communication with people. And so that could be things that you're posting out on your social media. That could just be emails that you drop to people or quick phone calls. People that I've seen do a very good job at this, they have a system built and a routine built for how often they reach out to people. And there's a consistent approach they're using, and it's still personalized though, because what they're reaching out and sharing is something that's individualized. It's not some generic thing. It's not like a form letter or something.
Right, and something beyond just telling them happy birthday when their birthday pops up in LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's if they're out there posting something, comment on it, or reach out to them with a quick message.
Yeah, so it's those are the easy things to do, the little reminders that pop up. But substance always matters. Stop and congratulate people on when good things happen to them. They're promoted or they change jobs, or there was some project that they were working on, or something that you're able to read about or hear about.
They get mentioned in an article or something.
Yeah, always do that.
Right.
It's just a good way. Again, this whole thing is that it's like, just don't make the mistake of only going to your network when you need something from people, because that's one of the biggest reasons that people won't help you.
Right.
Geez, the only time I hear from this person is when they're between jobs and they need another job. It's like, I never hear from them any other time. Don't build a reputation for yourself like that. Build a reputation where people believe it's an authentic relationship, because it is. You're respecting them and you want them to respect you. So that means that you don't just go to them in those times of need. You're going to them when you don't need anything, that you're sharing stuff with them, or you're congratulating them, or you're commenting, or you're sharing your pic through your posts and they find those interesting. It's just a good way to, the consistency is the most important thing here.
Ready to dive deeper? Head over to greenboxu.com to check out our Foundations course, as well as our other products and services designed for lasting success. We'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on social media, share your thoughts, and submit questions for future episodes. Until next time, keep exploring and unlocking your potential. See you on the next episode of the GreenBox Shift.